Welcome to Hotness, the podcast that brings you practical tools to balance your hormones and rekindle connection, confidence, and desire in midlife and beyond. I'm your host, Dr. Liz Lyster. Hotness is a safe space for honest conversations about menopause, sex, identity, love, loss, reinvention, and desire, because you can embrace your hotness at every age. Hello, my hot ones. Welcome to Hotness, the podcast where hormones, confidence, and desire come back online. My guest today is someone who I have adored for over a decade. Naomi Bareket is a NLP coach. We talk about what that means. She is someone who feels that every one of us has an inner spark that is longing to shed its light on the world. She loves helping people overcome deeper fears so they can thrive and influence others as well positively. She's a personal growth coach, a respected speaker. She has her MBA, and she's currently pursuing her MSW. With all of this, clients really love her that work with her as far as transformational coaching. And she's been named influential leader in personal growth and achievement. She's also a published author. Her books include The Deep Sea, Find Your Inner Spark, and See Into Your Soul. I am just delighted to share with you my conversation. We touched on authenticity, especially in midlife. How can we express that inner spark, and what happens when we do? We feel intimacy with ourselves and with others so much more deeply, I think, especially in midlife. So please enjoy my conversation with Naomi Bareket. Hello, my hot ones. I'm so delighted to share with you my beautiful friend, Naomi Bareket. We will learn more about her as we go. So we're just going to jump in. Does that sound okay, Naomi?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Let's do it. Let's jump in. So what I want to start out asking you is that women in midlife sometimes, or maybe often, they wake up and they realize that they've spent many, many years taking care of others, performing a role in their lives, work and family, etc., in their relationships. How can women, especially in midlife, start to return to themselves, to their authentic selves? Let's jump off from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think especially at a certain age when we are like kind of like looking back and like saying, okay, so I serve this and I serve other people, but what, like, where am I? Where's my fulfillment? Like they're like checking out, like they want to kind of like share their strength with like something bigger than what they had to do until now, right? So like in order to help them tap into authentic self, by the way, like my book, like The Deep Sea, by the way, it's all about like,
I love that book. It's gorgeous.
See into your soul, right? See into your soul and find your inner spark. Otherwise, we feel numbness, kind of like unfulfilled. And this like really impact our mental health. And in general, there is like even a pyramid that like the middle of it is like values. We really need to know what our prioritize, what is really important for us at this time. And we don't need to like beat ourselves or like feel sorry, like, oh, I should have done that. No, when you go there, it's not going to help you. So like instead it's like, how can I now fulfill what is important for me? And then we look at the different level of like the authentic kind of like level of thinking of pyramid, which is the top will be like, what is my higher purpose, my mission, something that if like I had the magic wand, I would do it all the time because it's like my second nature. I love it, and it feels good. It feels meaningful for me. And then if we go below that, it's like there is the identity that we have to check, like, who am I? So like, do I say I am wonderful, I am a light and that still needs to shine or wants to shine? Or like I'm saying, I'm worthless, I'm a waste of, right? Like, so we need to pay attention to that thing. Then we look at our beliefs and values, because like if I believe that nothing will come out of me, or if I believe, I'm too old to do something, right? If we have that belief, we definitely need to tap into that and release them, because that will hold you back. And the values, like if we don't know what is important for us, we will find ourselves in internal conflicts. Like part of me wants, part of me doesn't. So like we really need to go to the different layer and of course check what we are good at, what is like our capability, skills, and what is our behavior,
Yeah.
because we are like, our behavior is like mainly automatic. So like, because we were pre-programmed, or like the environment which below that also impact our thing. And you talked about like women, we always look to serve, right? But like there is like a special light that only you have. Nobody has the same fingerprint that you have. You go to the airport, right? Everybody has their own fingerprint. So what am I here for? More than just like, okay, serving what I did till now, but like still, like we always serve somehow, right? Like, but how do I shine my light to the point where I really feel this joy, this fulfillment, this like, you know what I mean? Like,
Beautiful.
yeah,
Absolutely. I love that. I love that so much. And I also think that there are specific hormonal changes in midlife that allow women to do that.
absolutely, especially with your help. Because if they are not balanced, let's put it this way, right? There's chemicals running in our body. So like that's another thing that is very important, that I'm glad you talked about hormones, because what happened is there is a lot of shame that people feel. Unfortunately, many women feel a lot of shame because they are out of balance hormonal wise. And then they think, oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. I get this anxiety. I'm shaking. I'm like, like this kind of like,
right.
So really it's important to make sure to go to you and also talk about those, because like,
Right.
there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's natural. And like the opposite, like people who keep it as a secret, it's like the symptoms are worse. So like by all means, talk to a group of women that like, and that's what I like about you, that you guide women and you make sure that like they feel it's totally normal. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And like, the opposite, speak out, because you deserve to live your life to the fullest. So by all means, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that, which is why we're having this conversation today, because you help me do that and you help people do that you work with. Can you share just how do you describe NLP to people? I know how I describe it, but I've never asked you this. I would like
Yeah.
to hear how do you describe the NLP work that you do with people?
Right. So NLP stands for like neuro linguistic programming, which like if you think about it like that, like if you freeze a screen of your current manifestation of life, it's actually a reflection of 95% of your subconscious mind, your automatic way that you were pre-programmed. So in order like to be able to really live your life to the fullest, what we look at is like what you were pre-programmed that hold you back from fully fulfill your mission and live a fulfilled life, and not like feeling this numbness. So it's a brain walk kind of like, because everything when we think about, if you think about like, if I'll tell you, describe me your room when you were like 10 years old or something, everything is like right away a picture comes up. So everything
Right, because right now it's the same as if it were right now.
Exactly.
Got it.
So everything is the picture stored in our mind, also around our beliefs, around our values and things like that. So when there's certain picture that hold us back, just like when we see something and we get triggered and we go after, like, why did I get so mad? Like, right? Like you're like shocked that you got so mad, but it's all triggers that we're stuck in and traumas and things like that, that the body remembers everything and each cell of our body remembers everything. So what we do is like, we sometimes need to modify and change that and release the thing that hold us back. And it's so fun because it's really fast. I do study now become like psychologist and social working, because some people will never go to chiropractic. They will only go to physical therapists. So I want to make sure I also serve the people who are more suspicious about all this abracadabra really fast fixing. But I believe like if you can struggle left and like have like a really fast transformation. So that's what it's all about.
That's a limiting belief that some people have, is that it needs to take time. It should take time. If it's too quick, it's not real. Those are related to the work that you do. So that's fantastic. I love that. I'm going to borrow that when people ask me about that. And when I send people to you and tell them I think they should work with you.
Thank you. And before you ask, even like we continue the conversation, we talk also about weight. Like the weight that people carry on themselves is
Sure.
also pre-programmed in a lot of ways because like the body remembers and like sometimes the certain food was like your protective mechanism. So like when you try 5% of your conscious mind said, yeah, I want to lose weight, I want this, but guess what? Like really quick, you're going to gain it back, right? If you don't
Yeah.
release the pre-program trauma
Yes.
and whatever, like, the connection that we did in our head of what does it mean, like how it
Yeah.
protects me,
Beautiful.
right? Like this. So
Yes. You said earlier 95%. So the 5% is making good conscious effort, but 95% of which is the subconscious, is actually running the show and makes it so difficult. Let me ask you, because I know you have a very wonderful spirituality and you and I talk about that a lot. So sometimes women feel the need to make a shift in their lives. They feel it that way. They feel it like an internal voice. So how do you tell women and suggest to women how to trust that voice and really be able to live in alignment?
I would say like when you have this voice, the fears will kick in right away, really quick. So before you really want to fulfill it, you will go like with all the excuses, all the reasoning why not. So I would say like at least like play in your head and say, if I had a magic wand, what would I do? What would I have? What would I write? Like, so and play with that and then say, okay, and you can even write it down. Like if I only had a magic wand, right? And only then you can like say, like we never, if you think even back, if you look back, most of the things you achieve is regardless of whatever you hold your back. Because you had but it was pre-programmed. You go to school, you do that, you bring children, you get married, right? Like there, as everything was
Yes.
pre-programmed. So although you were afraid, let's say, to give birth, you still did it because you were pre-programmed for that, right? And people who decided not to have kids, they were pre-programmed because of like certain trauma they went through, like not necessary trauma, like they looked at the world, so like there's a lot of right reflection and like decision you make. So like I think like just like when I decided to study the MSW, I could say, oh, I'm too old to study now another master degree, or right. And we cannot deny that those kind of voices, they still show up. But like, what is the pro and cons for everything, right? And like, there's nothing like there. I think it's a Christian guy named John Austin. I think he says that there's nothing implant in your mind without God put it in there. So like the fact that you even have this like kind of a thought, don't like disregard it, So like look at that and like say, okay, it's not like I force myself. Like I'm going to play with it, right? And like, what does it require? Be curious. Like, what does it require? Oh, okay, I need now to like contact my university. I need to make sure it step by step. It doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Right.
Like, and divide it by little, tiny steps.
Yes, I love that. My Kabbalah teacher talks about building a building that first of all, he says exactly what you just said. Any desire that we have, that's because spirit or the creator or God or whatever we call it wants us to have that. That's why we had the thought. So I love that. That's beautiful. But then he also talks about the person who's building a building, they start with the vision of the entire building. But manifesting it then takes stepwise work.
Exactly. And I think the more we connect to what is it really that we want, and like our soul and spiritual and soul, the more motivated we will to take the steps. If we are like trying to impress other people, and that's the problem, is that many times we'll fall into like what is popular or what other people doing. Oh, I wish I, but like truly, if you can just like tap into your inner soul and not like compare yourself to others, because truly each has different fingerprint. And always think like, if God willing, I'm 120 years old and I'm looking back on my life, like what would I be proud of, right? Is something that I will be proud of, something that, that was meaningful for me, that I'm like totally proud and amazing model for my kids or for future generations, for my family, for my neighbors. It doesn't matter, but like, how like I can shine my light, and every person has a unique light. So
I love that. You always talk about the inner spark of that unique light. I want to ask you, in your work with women, and I know you work with women, I know you work with men as well, but also just talking with women, what do you hear or understand happens for women with regard to intimacy, right? Not necessarily sexual intimacy, but intimacy really with ourselves and with the people we care about when they start telling the truth about what they want.
Right. So like there's also like taboo around intimacy and sex stuff and stuff like that. So like there's a lot of also shame, guilt, and like people don't talk about it as much. So like I want to encourage them for sure, like to talk to people around it, because why not? Like, this is something that it's part of life. And so I noticed there is a lot also of like internal conflicts, right? That people feel what they were pre-programmed, what they believe and what they wish or not wish or something. And there's also like a lot of time they use it as a distraction, unfortunately. So there's like in certain city, like that's like you can go from one partner to another and stuff. And it's okay. Everybody lives their life, but sometimes they feel numbness after. They feel this unfulfilled feeling because it's not like what they really want. They want like really sense of intimacy or something, but like it's a good distraction. No, it's like a drinking, like it's like about smoking or something. It gives you joy.
Yes.
It's like eating chocolate. Okay.
Yes.
So sometimes I would say like even that, like really kind of look at your values, what are important for you. And if you like looking for a partner or if you have already a partner, make sure that you meet that like it's a win-win and everybody is happy and it's in alignment. Because sometimes like I hear a lot of like women, the minute he touch me, he wants sex. He give me massage, he wants sex, but I want just the massage at that moment, for example, right? So like it's very important to actually talk about it. So there is alignment, because otherwise, right, there is like the gap is growing. The gap is growing. So that's like people in relationship, but like don't use it like, I think don't underestimate it in the sense of like, I have it so much and it's in so abundance to the point that I don't appreciate it anymore. That's what my point of view, because I see that it's happened a lot, even with young generation. Is like when they live in a city like even Tel Aviv or other city, they feel like, it's like they lost a lot of spiritual part of it. They lost a lot of it. It's just like it's like almost like, something that they cannot appreciate anymore. And because of that, they struggle after when they actually feel connected to someone. But then this part is like now meaningless. Right. So like, I always say, tap to your values and see if that's really what you're looking for, or you run away from something.
Beautiful. So that's a tool. I always want to give my listeners tools, practical. I want this podcast to be really practical for people. So I think that's a beautiful tool, is looking at values. I did an exercise. I can even find a link to put in the show notes, but they're not hard to find online. But it was an exercise that I did in a workshop many, many years ago. And so I'm very clear about my core values. So that's really a useful tool for people to be able to be in alignment with themselves and be authentic. Is that a fair? I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's how I would say it. Is that?
No, it's absolutely true, because like then like you beat yourself otherwise, it's just like we eating junk, right? Sometimes we just eating and like we overly eating and then we feel guilty about it. And like, so like, I think like that if visiting it, right? So like, just like with food, like, right? So then I feel like, then I say, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not, good for me too much. Like maybe I'll take fruit now, right? So like we have the awareness, right? So like it's about awareness. Like I think in general, everything you do, if you can like hold before you do, like even like food, when you think about it, if you can pause before you want, like the pause, it makes a huge difference. So like in anything, like in relationship and stuff, if you can pause. But the problem is that there is a lot of shame around talking about, as you say, intimacy and stuff like that. And that's unfortunate, because people hold in and then they're not happy. They're not satisfied because there's no alignment. So it's very important to kind of, that there is a lot of jokes around it because of that. Right. Because it's a taboo, it become like a joke.
To keep it away. Yeah.
Right. But like, it's very important, it's very important to talk about it. And I think like people are really blessed that they can talk with you about it. And like also hormonal wise, when we talk even biologically, that like some people, the women all of a sudden eat, private parties too dry or anything like that. Like they should like be open to talk about it rather than suffering secretly. And like,
beautiful.
You don't need to every person, but they can talk with you.
That's right. That's actually a good idea. Don't talk about it with everybody. Talk about it with someone who can actually help you feel better. Speaking of which, if people want to learn more about your work, they want to learn, I love you've got your information behind you, so that's really great. Plus, I will include links to you in the show notes. But what's the best way for people to reach you if they want to learn more about the work that you do or if they want to work with you?
Sure. So like the website they can look at is www, of course, and then the word neuro, like for the brain, neuro, then the word success, and then OLOGY, neurosuccessology. It probably will be in the note. And
yes, we'll do that
and they
for
can
sure.
talk to you and you can refer. So by all means.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Well, I want to also ask you a question that I ask every guest. What is something that you personally do to experience and to feel your own hotness?
Yeah. So, okay. So like, I think like two things, like this soul thing for me is very important. So like anything that feel in my soul. So daily I'm reading my sounds, pray a lot. And then the physical thing is going to the gym, walking with the dog, like making sure that like it's all balanced. I really believe we need to balance all the dimensions so we can live fully and serve our unique mission, purpose.
Beautiful. Shine our own light that we each have. That's so wonderful.
Yeah, like
thank
be
you so much.
About it.
And be what? Say
Obsessed
again?
around shine your, live your purpose.
You have the obsession. You do. I love that. I love that. That is so great. And we each have that. So I love that so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with me on Hotness. And I know besides seeing you soon, we will definitely, I always encourage people who have any questions to put them so that we can have another conversation very soon. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to Hotness. Help more women find these practical tools by liking, sharing, and following the show, as well as leaving a review. As a gift for listening, go to drlizmd.com/hotness for your free midlife guide filled with powerful support for your mind, body, and soul, because you can embrace your hotness at every age.